Hey y'all, it is Monday, April 7th, and I just wanted to do like a really quick check-in with you. I'm not really sure how this week is gonna progress, but to be 100% real and honest with you, like fitness is not my number one priority right now. It is taking care of the important people in my life, and that is 100% more important than, like working out or whatever. So with that in mind, I am prioritizing taking care of Joey and Physique, the cat, and keeping the house clean because he is coming out of surgery and immunocompromised, and it's really important to keep everything neat and tidy and sanitized for him. I will be trying to keep my step count up, but I'm not going to force myself to get like 10k steps or whatever. If I can get 8 or 9k a day, that would honestly be really awesome. And I'm not really going to be trying to force myself to do cardio or even work out, to be honest, because my shoulder and elbow are still pretty sore, and in this state of being in a calorie deficit, the recovery is just not going to be that good, and I don't want it to lead to a longer lasting shoulder injury. And just wanted to let you know that I am taking 3 Yohimbin HCl pills this week, which honestly I'm really kind of glad about because I could use the little boost in energy and mood that it gives me. If you want the disclaimers for Yohimbin, I have that in the description as well as the examine.com page. And if you choose to look into it, do it at your own risk. Honestly, this week I'm just really worried about falling off of my calorie and macro strategy. Out of all the things like fitness related, that's the one thing that I am prioritizing. So I'm still trying to get 1,449 calories, 145 grams of protein, 45 grams of fat, and 116 carbs or thereabout. I'm not like super precise with it, but I am trying to stick with that as best that I can, and it's more like the workouts and the steps that I'm allowing to fall off with regards to everything that's going on. So yeah, this week I did actually write down some things that I'm looking forward to because I think it's pretty important for me personally to have like a realistic but mostly positive outlook on this kind of stuff, like for me and my mental health. So mentioned in this section in my journal that I'm looking forward to the 3 Yohimbin pills because I personally find that it gives me an energy and mood boost, but I'm also looking forward to watching Elementary with Joey when he gets back to the hospital. It's basically another Sherlock Holmes type remake series set in New York City. And we started watching it a couple days ago. I think we're somewhere in the first season, and it's maybe not as good as some other Sherlock Holmes type shows and movies we've seen, but it's been enjoyable so far. So that's what I wrote down. I'm just really looking forward to hanging out, chilling with Joey at home, watching TV in the comfort of our own weird living room situation. And then feeling mentally, I'm just tired. This situation just kind of sucks. It's not great. But I will say that I had a talk with my coworkers. I didn't really go into detail about like what's going on medically with Joey, but they know that he's in the hospital, and they have been really supportive and understanding of me needing to take off of work really suddenly to go back and forth and take care of that. So I'm just feeling like super appreciative to have really awesome coworkers like that I don't have to worry about getting like the 3rd degree for taking medical leave or something like that. And then, that's basically it. We know that my butt and my elbow and my shoulder are kind of messed up from that little tumble I took last week. It was honestly so silly. I literally just slipped on the stairs, and because I was double fisting drinks, I didn't catch myself on my hands. I landed straight on my right elbow. And, it is what it is. I don't even think that it was like a negligence thing on my part. My foot just slipped and I was holding drinks, and it's not that big a deal. I'm not like grievously injured or anything, but it's a little bit of a bummer. These things happen, and I've said this before throughout the series that I am already super happy with the results of this fat loss phase. We're in week 14 now, so coming close to the end. And if like these last 3 weeks, 14, 15, and 16, all I can really do is just like maintain, I would still be super happy with the results. So for me overall, this has just been a really successful fat loss phase. Honestly, one of my most successful fat loss phases, even if I stop now. So I'm just like really, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. I'm really appreciative of myself for doing all the things that I did to set myself up for a successful fat loss phase. And while the current circumstances aren't like the greatest, with life and all the stuff that's been happening lately, really like appreciative of my coworkers, of my friends that have been checking in and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling really like grateful, I guess. I don't know. This sounds like really corny. It's kind of like very corny for me because I'm not really like a talking about feelings kind of person. But yeah, even though the situation is bad, I have a lot of good people in my life. So that's a nice feeling to have. Anyways, I think I'm getting emotional, so I'm gonna cut out for today, I guess, or cut out for now. I do want to mention that even though I ate really, really late at night, last night, like literally at midnight, my weigh-in wasn't affected too much by it. I weighed in at like exactly 145. Sorry, I'm like all confused. Weighed in at exactly 145 pounds this morning, which is pretty close to my lower weigh-ins recently. But I haven't really put together a meal plan this week. Obviously, the latter half of last week was very hectic. I did go to the grocery store on Friday, but it was just like a really fast in and out, get the absolute necessaries kind of a situation. I have a lot of meat in the freezer, so I'm definitely not hurting for food. I just didn't really have a chance to plan out like what I'm gonna eat this week. So we will see how it goes. If nothing else, like my air-dried instant ramen with chicken and vegetables is always a decent fallback. Not the most nutritious, but it's got the carbs, it's got the fats, it's got the protein, so I don't hate it. It's tasty and it works and it's easy. So yeah, we're just gonna play it by ear and see how things go. And I hope that eventually I'll have some time to do some editing because I'm really far behind. But yeah, I've just been at the hospital a lot. Bye for now. I will probably check in this evening with dinner whenever I get around to it. Okay, see ya.
Breathe in. Hold your breath. Breathe.
Hey y'all, it is Monday night. Well, technically it's Tuesday morning because it's past midnight. I am back from the hospital. Got some instant ramen boiling away. I'm doing the Pulmuon air-dried kimchi stew flavored instant ramen with a buttload of real kimchi in there because I was at the very end of my tub. So I just like dumped the rest in. I also have just like one block of tofu, which is only like 100 calories, but that was all I really needed to get my protein goal for today. Low on steps, not gonna be able to get those in. Joey was in a lot of pain when I got to the hospital, so I just did my best to stay by his side, and he wasn't particularly mobile. He was able to get up and walk around a little bit, but just not able to get those steps in, and that's all right. That's not a priority this week. We're just doing what we can do under the circumstances. I've been slowly trying those Premier protein shakes. I've actually never really had them before this. And today I tried the cafe latte flavor, and it was very excellent, like surprisingly good. So if you have a chance, or I guess if you're in the market for protein shakes and you see Premier Protein in the cafe latte flavor, it is good, but it does say that it has about 1 cup of coffee's worth of caffeine. So just letting you know. I am super dehydrated, which is really not good. I have to be a little bit better about drinking water specifically. It's not that I haven't really been drinking water, it's just that I'm not really in my normal routine right now. So I'll drink water normally, like when I'm at home, but when I'm out and about, I just like don't really think about it as much. It's just like outside of my normal habits. So I gotta be really careful about that, especially because I'm taking creatine. Joey's staying at the hospital again tonight. Hopefully we get some sort of something tomorrow, but I'll check in with you then. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Really. Okay, good night. What's up? It is Tuesday, April 8th, about 11:20 at night, back from the hospital from visiting Joey. He had another surgery this morning, which we were very thankful that he was able to do. Very thankful that, prior to all this stuff going down, that he was a very healthy individual. So they were able to do like 2 consecutive surgeries. Basically, he said that normally they wouldn't really do that for most people, but it was kind of a special circumstance, I guess. But anyways, he had another surgery this morning, and I was basically with him after that from like 3 until 10:30 or so, and he's doing much better than he was yesterday. Yesterday he was in a lot of pain, and today, after they took care of the situation, he's feeling so much better. He's in really good spirits, eating, drinking, using the bathroom, able to walk. I didn't ask him if he feels comfortable with me talking about like what specifically the situation is. I have a feeling that he doesn't care, like being a medical professional himself, but I feel like I should ask permission before talking about somebody else's situation. So I'll try to remember to do that. Got in a lot of, basically all of my protein needs for the day already. So for dinner, I'm doing instant ramen with 1 egg and a side of green beans because I thought that Joey would be home this week and I overbought on veggies. So I'm trying to make my way through all the veggies myself, but I enjoy a green food, so I'm not really mad about it. Oh, I forgot to mention yesterday, but my shoulder and elbow are feeling much better. honestly, I'm kind of glad that I needed to take these few days off of working out because it's really feeling almost 100%. My butt is still a little bit sore, but the elbow and the shoulder are feeling really good. I'm a little scatterbrained right now, so I feel like there's something I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, still sticking with my macro strategy today, doing really well. Was not really able to get in the 9K steps that I had wanted, but actually I'm really close. Actually, maybe I will. I'm at 8,735 right now, so actually I probably will get all of my steps in, just like getting ready for bed. So that's awesome. I feel good about that. This afternoon or morning, sometime today, while I was at work, it was like a tiny bit slow. So I did like just kind of do some stepping at my desk in my office, like in between tasks. So that really helped get my step count up, which is good. The weigh-ins this week are probably gonna be a little wacky because I'm eating all this instant ramen like in the middle of the night. But this morning it was still like 145 point something, so that's pretty good. I can tell you from experience that taking a week or 2 or even 3 is not really gonna set you back in terms of like your fitness journey, as long as you are being cognizant of all the other aspects of your fitness and nutrition. I'm not really worried about missing workouts this week, like at all. It might slow down my progress, but it's really not gonna set me back in the long run. There might be some like visual softness this week or perhaps next week when I do the physique check-in, but when I get back to my regular schedule, that's probably gonna like right itself very quickly. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna have my dinner, watch a little bit of TV, and then head to bed, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Oh, Joey's probably gonna be in the hospital for at least 2 more days. They wanna hold him for like 48 hours, for another 48 hours for observation and stuff like that. And then hopefully he can come home on Thursday, as long as like nothing else comes up. And then he's gonna probably be home for another like week and a half to 2 weeks on top of that, just like depending on how his recovery is going. So it'll be nice to have him just like around the house. He works a lot. Anyways, enough rambling. Have a good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Big lunch today because I'm trying to use up those green beans before they go bad. Hey, checking in. It's Wednesday, April 9th. Around 11 p.m., got back from the hospital after visiting Joey. Got some instant ramen on the stovetop. I'm doing spicy air-dried instant ramen with some soft tofu, and that's all I really need for protein tonight. And finishing up my white kimchi. I am nearly through all of my green veg, so I'm gonna eat the last of that tomorrow. Joey's doing pretty well, and I totally forgot to ask him if it was okay to talk about what's going on with him. I'll try to remember tomorrow, but today he was just like kind of tired for the most part, eating well, eating, drinking, using the bathroom, able to get up and walk around, but gets tired and out of breath really easily. But overall, recovering as expected or as hoped. He might be able to come home tomorrow, but obviously we don't want to rush it if it's not what the doctor says is okay. Almost 7,000 steps right now, so probably not going to get that 9,000 step goal, but you know, it is what it is. No big deal. This morning I weighed in really low, which I was surprised about considering, you know, not working out and eating a bunch of instant ramen late at night. but my weigh-in this morning was 143.7, which is the lowest I've been for this fat loss phase. I'm looking extremely lean when I see myself in the mirror, and you know, obviously this was the outcome that I wanted, but because I haven't been working out the last few days, I'm feeling like more skinny than lean, like in a not flattering way, if that makes sense. But you know, I'm sure it's like a little bit of dysmorphia, and you know, I'm trying to be kind to myself about the working out and whatever, but still, you know, the not existential dread, the voices, they still, you know, just a little bit, but it's fine. We're good. And yeah, that's it. I don't know. I feel like this is just like me rambling because I'm quite tired. I haven't really been sleeping well, but that's all on me. Just like coming home late, you know, trying to spend time with Joey, coming home late, and then trying to also spend time with Physique, the cat. And you know, he's lonely. He's a very sensitive guy, and he wants to cuddle at night, and it kind of keeps me awake, or I'm tossing and turning and stuff like that. So, you know, it is what it is. I think Physique needs the attention. So, but I mean, overall, I'm doing like pretty okay. Talk to you tomorrow night. That is pork loin with barbecue sauce and hot sauce, 10 shrimp, and some frozen hash browns with ketchup and hot sauce. I struggle to cook frozen hash browns, and I don't know why. It's Thursday, the 10th of April, and I'm having dinner at a reasonable time. Joey is back home from the hospital, and it's about 8 p.m. and we're having dinner. I'm a little low on food in the fridge, mostly vegetables, because I finished off all my green veg for the week, and actually I'm pretty proud of myself because that was a lot of veg, but it was good. So what I have here is 100 grams of burrata, protein plus pasta, like a spoonful of vegetable oil, fake butter spread, 1 tomato, 8 Amy Lou chicken sausage. I think it's like basil parmesan flavor, and some fat-free feta cheese. Parmesan would have been better, but I didn't have Parmesan. I only had the feta. I think it'll be good anyways. Also lots of cracked black pepper, fresh cracked black pepper. I think this is gonna be really good. It's really simple, but sometimes simple is really good. I'm gonna really enjoy it. I did not end up working out today, although I did about like 20 minutes of a follow along stepping video to get some steps in. I am at about 8,500 steps, so I might get that 9,000K goal for the day. But either way, I'm not too worried about it. Hopefully tomorrow I'm back on a more normal schedule. I'm gonna do my grocery shopping and all the things, although I didn't really meal plan for next week, but I still have time. But I might just end up winging it a little bit and going with the flow because my brain's a little fried right now. The main reason I did not end up working out today is because I had to get together all of my receipts for taxes, and that took quite a while. So anyways, talk to you tomorrow with a little grocery haul. Night. What's up? It's Friday, the 11th of April, and it's a little later. It's like almost 11. I did my grocery shopping early in the morning, got back home and put everything away basically so that I could help Joey out, but it's doing pretty okay right now. I just want to show you a few things that I got, but we're gonna do it like I'm just gonna take you everywhere in the kitchen because everything is away mostly. I picked up some sugar-free ketchup by G. Hughes. It's only 5 calories for a tablespoon. That's like a quarter the calories of regular ketchup or the ketchup that I typically use, and I have been not using ketchup a lot because of the calories, so I picked this up. And actually I was looking at the price per ounce, and the price per ounce on this was actually better than a lot of the other ketchups, just like normal ketchup, which I thought was kind of interesting. I also picked up this Fire and Smoke Spices Sauces Society like burger seasoning. I realized that I didn't have a burger seasoning, and I usually keep something along those lines. So this has like salt, onion, garlic, brown sugar, black pepper, tarragon, cayenne, paprika, onion, dill weed, blah blah blah. 0 calories per a quarter of a teaspoon, which is pretty normal for like spices. Also picked up grated Parmesan and Romano because I was out. I remember yesterday I was like, oh, this would have been good with Parmesan, and I didn't have it. Okay, doxing the inside of my refrigerator. Point out a couple stuff. Okay, I picked up some red meat. I got steak and lean ground beef. So obviously Joey got out of surgery. He's a little low iron, so I tried to get stuff for him. So I got red meat. Also got spinach, and then for the veg, I got some cucumber peppers, a little bit of lettuce. I'm probably gonna do like a taco rice situation, green beans, and sugar snap peas. I've actually really been loving sugar snap peas lately, and I just eat them raw. 35 calories for 85 grams / 1 cup. A little higher calorie for a vegetable, but that's okay. I picked up these probiotic yogurts for Joey because he's on a lot of antibiotics, so that can really mess up your gut biome. But then I also got more just like Dannon regular light and fit Greek. So I asked Joey like what he wants to do with his calories. Obviously, in recovery, he should not be in a calorie deficit, but he said he also doesn't really want to go off the wall and eat in like an extreme. He doesn't want to go way above maintenance. So I still picked up mostly like the normal stuff I would pick up for myself on a diet. So I got more of this Greek yogurt. My absolute favorite flavor of the Dannon Light and Fit Greek is tiramisu, which is kind of funny because I actually don't really love the taste of like coffee, and I almost never get tiramisu at like a restaurant or anything, but I think that this is like one of the best flavors of the Light and Fit Greek. I also really like the lime, and this quote unquote limited edition creme brulee is also pretty good. Sorry, that is going crazy because it was open for too long. What else did I get? Okay, I got one huge spaghetti squash. Not sure when I'll eat that. Tiny tomatoes. I had space on my tea thing, so I have this tea thing. I try not to go crazy on the tea, but I had one open space, so I got this Sweet Strawberry Digestive Support by Yogi. I honestly don't care about the digestive support. The flavor sounded good for me. I don't know how much drinking tea actually helps with your digestion, but it's got turmeric, black pepper, hibiscus, honeybush, green rooibos, cardamom, yellow dockroot, mango, strawberry, and monk fruit extract. So that honestly, just the flavor sounded good to me, and that's why I got it. In the pantry, I got kettle corn popcorners. This is like, honestly, even when I'm not on a diet, I love these things, but it's like relatively diet friendly. One serving is 130 calories. I also got Fritos to go on taco rice because I like it on taco rice. I should have probably got more Ritz, but that's enough. I got more Hawaiian keto bread. And honestly, I think that's about it. I actually didn't go too hard today on the groceries. I'm trying to keep in mind that we are going to be on vacation in less than a month, and I don't want to have just a bunch of stuff sitting around to go bad. So yeah, that's about it. Gonna be cooking a lot this week, but I haven't really come up with a meal plan, but that's okay. Plan today is to get in a workout and do some sort of stepping situation. I did not work out yesterday, so I'm gonna try to do upper body today, lower body Saturday, and then maybe shoulders and arms on Sunday. And then I'll get back into my normal schedule next week. And the workouts probably today and tomorrow are gonna be slightly different than usual, but I'll talk about that when I am actually doing it, or like when I do the catch up or when I do the check-in. Anyways, okay, talk to you later. Oh, it's still Friday the 11th of April. Just finished the workout. I did do an upper body workout. I did modify the workout a little bit. I'm gonna tell you what I did. So I started out with the pull downs, went into rows, did cable lateral raises, did dumbbell bench press, and then dumbbell shoulder press. And then I also did curls and skull crushers. These are the changes that I made. Bench press was supposed to be cable pec flies, but I was worried about the stability of my shoulder, so I thought bench press with dumbbells would be a better idea than using the cable machine. Normally, I do not do any sort of shoulder press on this day, but I added it in because I just wanted to specifically move that joint. It was pretty low weight. Normally on this day, I would do laying dumbbell curls where I'm like laying flat on the bench with my shoulder kind of at an extreme angle, and I thought that sounded really unsafe when I'm having shoulder trouble, so I switched it to the standing dumbbell curls, and normally I do skull crushers today. My shoulder feels not 100%, and I reduced the weight on almost all of the exercises. I think maybe the only thing that I didn't reduce the weight on was like the horizontal rows. And then I also capped the reps. So I usually have like kind of a range of reps that I would do for each exercise, but I capped it on the lower end. For the most part, everything felt okay. I didn't feel like I was gonna hurt myself, but I could definitely tell that the joint on my right shoulder was a little tender, and it did not feel 100%, but it wasn't like in extreme pain or anything like that. So I felt okay doing it, and I will probably continue to work out like this for upper body days until my shoulder does feel 100% again. And considering that this is the end of week 14 of my 16-week fat loss phase, for the rest of this series, it's highly possible and probable that my upper body days are gonna look like this for the rest of the 16 weeks. And it's okay. It is what it is. This is more about maintaining my muscle mass than it is about building muscle mass, because I'm in a pretty steep calorie deficit. And yeah, I'm just really focused on not permanently injuring myself. I don't know if it was like a freak accident, but it was like an accident. I slipped, I hit my elbow. I didn't injure myself working out, but I don't want to like further the injury by trying to work out really hard on a joint that's already not feeling great. So overall, I think the workout was okay. I honestly sped through it pretty quickly, meaning that I didn't take a lot of break in between sets because I didn't really feel like I needed it, but I wasn't like swinging the weights around or anything like that. I try to keep my form like very controlled and precise. And tomorrow is going to be a leg day, and I will probably do something similar just because I basically took like an entire week off of working out while I was helping out with Joey and his situation. So it's going to be a lighter workout, but I'm thinking that the lower body workouts will be normal after that because my lower body is not injured. I did fall on my butt pretty hard and my left butt cheek was hurting for a while, but I don't think that I actually injured the joint. I think I just fell on my butt and it hurt. And I don't have as much padding as I usually do because I tend to lose a lot of weight in my like lower body when I'm in a fat loss phase. Yeah, that's just the way I lose weight. Typically, my upper body gets really, really lean, and then my legs get pretty skinny, and then I lose most of my butt, and then it kind of like comes off of my midsection, which is not ideal, but you can't help these things. It's like genetics. Just taking things easy for now as I get back into it and rehab my shoulder situation. Yeah, so overall, I think a pretty successful workout, just like not the greatest workout of all time, and that's totally okay. It'd just be like that. Okay, I'm logging off for now. I'll talk to you at dinner. Okay, it's dinner time, and we are having ramen because that's what Joey requested. I have here the mild flavor of the Pulmuan air-dried instant ramen. I'm kind of running low, but I didn't have a chance to stop at H Mart today. I'm having mine with steak and shrimp because the steak is kind of like a little bit higher calorie, higher fat content. I'm doing a little bit of both so that I have like a leaner source of protein as well. On the side, I have some Korean pickled radish. I'm also out of kimchi, so that's what we're going with today. Pretty simple. I'll probably snack on some sugar snap peas later, amongst other things. Okay, see you tomorrow. Okie dokie. Saturday, April 12th, and I just finished the lower body workout. It was kind of a combined workout because it has some aspects of my quad focused and my glute focused leg days, but doing sort of a reload because I was off for about a week. So I just did 3 sets of each exercise and I capped the reps. So some of the exercises were a little bit tough, but I didn't push myself to failure on anything because I honestly don't want to blast myself after taking a week off. I would prefer not to be completely incapacitated by DOMs tomorrow. So taking it nice and easy, and honestly, I don't want to tell you what to do. I'm never here to tell you what to do. I only like to document what I do and talk about my mindset, and maybe you might want to take a page out of my book, but I prefer to reload after taking some time off, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month or more, because I hate to come back to the gym and then be completely destroyed by delayed onset muscle soreness the next day and either lose motivation or just be so sore that I literally cannot work out again for another extended period of time. So I usually come back with an easier workout, a little less weight than I was doing prior to taking a break, and just like giving myself a stopping point rather than going relatively close or to failure on my sets. So anyways, today I did landmine RDLs. I really like this exercise as like something a little bit easier than like a full barbell deadlift type situation, but at the same time, because I get a lot of stretch from this exercise in my glutes and hamstrings. I get a lot of really good activation, so I love it. I mean, not just as like an easier exercise, because you can load it heavier and put in a lot more work, but sometimes it's just like a little easier to do than doing something completely free weight and loading up a whole barbell by itself. So really, really love this exercise. Really get a good stretch, really get a really good activation in my glutes. And then after that, I did some leg press and then leg curls and leg extensions. That was a superset, the typical one leg at a time. And then I didn't take too much break in between. I did do a little bit of walking in between all of my sets, but because I'm not pushing myself very close to failure, I didn't need a very long break. And then after that, I went to the hip abduction, so knees going out, and I supersetted that with my calf raises. And then last thing I did was hip adduction, which is knees together. And typically I don't do those on the same day, but since I just wanted to hit a little bit of everything today after taking off a week, I did both of those. But like I said, not super intense. Honestly, the most intense thing from this whole workout was the leg curls, because I didn't really alter the weight that I usually do. And for me, it's kind of a tougher exercise, especially doing one leg at a time. So yeah, I basically did what I normally do for that, and it was a little hard. But anyways, the overall workout was good. I do feel like I might be sore tomorrow, but hopefully not so sore that it hurts to sit on the toilet or anything like that. And yeah, I'm happy with how this workout went. It did go by pretty fast, and I wish my workouts were fast like this all the time, but normally I would be taking a lot longer to warm up, and I would be taking a lot longer breaks in between exercises and sets because I'd be a little bit more tired. Not to say that I'm not tired, because I am tired. I don't know if you can tell like how sleepy my eyes look. My eyes feel really heavy right now. But yeah, I am pretty tired, but I think I'm probably gonna do a little bit of a stepping situation because I worked this morning. I work on Saturdays, so I'm a little low on steps. And then after I'm done with my whole workout situation, I'm probably going to be sitting at my computer for the rest of the night trying to get some editing in. I'm really behind on videos, obviously, because of like the emergency situation that we had last week and this week. Anyways, I will check back in with you for dinner. Joey has some friends coming over to visit him, and I think that they're all going to be doing dinner together, possibly ordering pizza, which I will not partake in. So I will most likely cook my own food, but yeah, I haven't really figured it out. I mean, you guys know that my fallback is always instant ramen with like some kind of protein. So, you know, if I'm at a point where I kind of am racked with indecision, we'll just go with that again. And honestly, that's perfectly fine by me. With all the like quote unquote cardio that I've been doing lately, like the stepping videos, they're not like super intense, but I do sometimes work up a bit of a sweat. I think it's good that I am eating food that's on the more salty side, and I do drink a lot of water, like typically well over a gallon of water plus other liquids a day. So I have no issue with the high sodium intake, and the noodles are air dried, so they're obviously more healthy than, more nutritious than noodles that are fried. And I like to make the distinction between food that's nutritious and food that's healthy, because I feel like healthy, quote unquote healthy, is a very vague word, and it doesn't actually like say a lot about something. Do you know what I'm saying? So I prefer, when I'm talking about food, I prefer to say nutritious over healthy. So like one might say that brown rice is more nutritious than white rice. But yeah, anyways, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm not a smart man, so I'm just gonna shut my mouth, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, today is Sunday, April 13th. Just finished my shoulders and arm workout, and it was another maintenance workout or reload workout where I kind of just capped the reps on the low end of the rep range. I'm still like working through this shoulder injury a little bit. It feels fine when I work out for the most part, but like every once in a while I'll feel a little bit of a twinge, and I think that sometimes I accidentally sleep on my shoulder wrong and it's still sensitive, and I wake up and it's kind of achy. But overall the workout felt okay. The exercise that was really aggravating my shoulder more than anything else was the rear delt exercise. And for today's workout, I was really just trying to get through it quickly, do something and get through it quickly. So I did my tricep pushdowns with the short bar, and then I basically just went right into like kind of a high row using the same implement in the same place. And yeah, I just kind of felt a little bit of something in there during a couple of the reps, but it honestly wasn't too bad. Like no pain doing any of the lateral raises, the front raises, the upright rows, oddly enough, even though that can be a really aggravating exercise for a lot of people. Biceps, triceps were totally okay. Yeah, it was just that last rear delt exercise that had me a tiny bit concerned. I am thinking that next week, Tuesday is when my next workout is gonna be. I might drop the shoulder and arm day and just do 4 workouts. I don't wanna not work out my upper body completely, but I'm wondering if just like the combination of calorie deficit and the fall, and then yeah, just everything going on. Maybe just like 4 days a week is enough, and I'll just like try to prioritize the steps, maybe add in a cardio, an extra cardio specific day. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I kind of don't want to lift less, but at the same time, I'm just like very iffy about the shoulder situation, because shoulder injuries can just be like really bad and last like a really long time. Like I said, it does feel like pretty okay for the most part, and for most of the exercises I had no issues, but just like every once in a while I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that. So basically what I did today was cable lateral raises, the front raise to upright row, dumbbell curls, push downs, and then those high rows for rear delts. And I did 4 sets for 4 sets, 4 sets, 4 sets, 3 sets, 3 sets. Then you can figure it out based on what I just said if you really care that much. Just an hour-long workout. I'm gonna have to do some stepping because I'm pretty low. I'm only about 4,500 steps right now, so I'll probably do a follow-along video just to like bust it out really quick. And yeah, I'm feeling like this was a pretty solid end to this week 14, all things considered, because there's just been like a lot of stuff going on lately. You know, me getting injured, Joey being in and out of the hospital. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm honestly like so freaking proud of myself for sticking with my calorie and macro strategy. There was like one day throughout this whole last 2 weeks that I was over my daily calorie intake by any significant margin. And on that day, the thing that put me over, like I was feeling very hungry, but I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go crazy. And I had like 1 banana. I had 1 banana, and that's what put me over. And it was only over by like 120 to 150 calories. So like not even enough to really affect my weekly average that much. So honestly, feeling really good and proud that I did that, because there was a lot of times when I was tempted to just like go off plan. I think that probably we'll get to it tomorrow sometime. We will do just like a really quick recap, and then I also wanted to talk to you about exactly like what happened with Joey. For those who are interested, I did get his permission to talk about like what happened specifically. So, you know, I don't necessarily owe people that, but for anyone that was interested, we will talk about that in like the recap reflection section of the video. So I will get my steps in and I will check in at dinner. I'm gonna do the smash taco thing and I hope it turns out well. I don't necessarily know that it's gonna be like very filling. I already calculated all the macros and stuff and it's like less than 500 calories because it's literally just like these tiny tortillas and 2 servings of really lean ground beef and then just a bunch of veg. Hopefully they taste good, but if they don't, or it's just like not that great, if I'm underwhelmed, I have a lot of space for like snacks. So we'll check in with you then. See you later. Okay, here's how my little smashed taco situation turned out. So basically what I did is I had 2 servings of lean ground beef that I smashed on top of 3 tiny tacos, seasoned it, put some cheese, threw it in the pan, fried it on both sides. I'm gonna eat it with a little bit of lettuce. And then I also made like a concoction of tomatoes, onions, salsa, and hot sauce that is also gonna go on top of that. It looks like it's gonna be really heckin' messy, but hopefully it tastes good. It smells really good, to be honest. And I did try this concoction and it does taste also really good. I did add like some lemon juice and like other seasonings in there as well. So gonna try this and hope that the beef cooked all the way through. I might have made too thick of a layer of ground beef, but should be fine, should be okay. Anyways, have a good night. I will check in with you tomorrow for the reflection and also just to like talk about everything that happened over the last 2 weeks. Okay, see ya. Okay, it's Monday, but we're doing our check-in for week 14. Not a great week for my fitness journey, but real life happened and I did the best that I could. My number one absolute must-do priority this week was to take care of Joey and Physique, and honestly, I personally think that I did a really good job of that. It was a pretty stressful time. Joey was in the hospital for most of the week, and now that he's back home, I have been putting in a lot of work taking care of him and the house and the cat. While I didn't have a chance to like prioritize working out and getting in my steps and stuff like that, I'm really proud of the way that I kind of like stepped up to help Joey out and just like get things done. And even though I didn't prioritize working out, I did stick to my macro strategy overall. There was one day this week that I went over my calories for the day, but that was only by like 150 calories or something like that. And it didn't actually affect my weekly average that much. I definitely was still in a calorie deficit. It was just kind of a rough week, but I'm proud of the way that I handled myself and how I stuck to my macro and calorie strategy overall. But your girl is tired. It's just been like really mentally draining. It's just like a lot going on, especially with like work, coming off like a sprint sort of a situation with work. Other stuff is going on with work as well. Although my coworkers have been super understanding with everything that's going on, it's still like a little bit stressful. And yeah, I'm also like kind of worried about my shoulder, but I am prioritizing recovery with that. So I don't think that it's going to progressively get worse. but it's still kind of like nagging in the back of my head, like what's going on. Yeah, feeling mentally just like very tired, feeling physically also just very tired, just not a lot, not doing so well in the sleep department. My hamstrings are super sore from that lower body workout on Saturday. And I was not even going that hard, but I had a feeling that I was going just hard enough to make myself sore. Definitely not the worst delayed onset muscle soreness I've ever had, but still like just not very fun. So I'm just like tired and sore, and I'm really ready for this fat loss phase to be over, but I have 2 more weeks to go. But let's do the stats, and then I'll talk in more detail about what specifically happened with Joey and his health over the past 2 weeks. So if you recall, my calorie and macro strategy that I was trying to stick with was 1,449 calories, 145 grams of protein, 45 grams of fat, and 116 grams of carbs. My overall averages for the week were 1,469 calories, so about 20 calories per day over my goal, 159 grams of protein, 29 grams of fat, and 169 grams of carbs. I was low on fat, high on protein, and high on carbs. I was so worried about the fat intake earlier in my fat loss phase, and I think it's fine. I think I was spending more energy than it was worth on just like worrying about it. So I kind of just like stopped worrying about it. And I do take a lot of like fish oils, vitamin E, stuff like that. And I do use pan spray when I'm cooking. So I am getting some fats in that I'm not really tracking. But my step goal this week was 9,000 steps a day, which is a little lower than it has been in preceding weeks, but I was just trying to account for everything that was going on in my life. I ended up getting 8,418 steps on average, which is like pretty good. I'm not mad about it. I definitely had to force myself to do some follow along stepping videos, but there was a couple days this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that I just like didn't do any extra stepping at all. But on, let's see, Tuesday I was very close to 9,000. Sunday I was very close to 9,000. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday I was over 9,000. It was Monday and Wednesday that really set me back. But again, it's like just not that big a deal. I'm still on track to probably reach my original fat loss goal, even though after a few weeks I was thinking that it was like way too aggressive. But like at the beginning of this week, I kind of started out around 145 pounds, and now I'm consistently in the 143 range. So yeah, that was very surprising to me, considering that I haven't really worked out much in the last 2 weeks. I basically took an entire week off of working out, but I guess the cardio and the stepping and the overall activity level has been enough to keep me in enough of a calorie deficit to continue to lose weight. So yeah, the weight is still trending down, which I'm really glad to see. And like I said, on track to kind of reach that original 142 body weight goal that I had set for myself. And I'm not mad about it. I am visually looking very lean right now, but you know, the brain worms are kind of like wiggling a little bit, and I'm starting to feel like I'm not looking very athletic, like I'm just looking like really skinny. But we all have our own brand of body dysmorphia, and like that's kind of mine. I had a decent week. I had an okay week, and sometimes that's all you can hope for, you know, real life. I'm aiming for progress and not necessarily perfection, as you can probably tell by the way that I, you know, never hit my macros spot on. It's always just in the realm of good enough. So progress, not perfection. That's always been really, really big with me, and I am definitely making progress. Let's hope that we're back to our normal routine for week 15, and now we will get into a little discussion about what all happened with Joey, and I'm gonna try to explain as well as I can and give you a relatively accurate timeline because it's been like a couple weeks. So if you don't want to hear about all of this like medical stuff, I totally understand, timestamps and all that, but this is basically the end of the past 2 weeks of fitness and stuff vlog. So if you want to click off now, thank you so much for watching the video, and thank you so much for your patience with me as I try to get these videos out in a timely manner. And also, thank you so much for everybody that sent well wishes our way during this like really difficult time. Don't forget to be responsible for your own gains, and I hope you'll tune in for the next video. But if you're here to learn about what happened to Joey, here we go. We're getting into it now. And I will say that I'm not gonna like put any pictures or anything up because that's a little too much, but I will explain specifically what happened. So on Thursday, April 3rd, Joey woke up with some really bad stomach and abdomen pain. And he was feeling bad enough that he eventually called out of work. So I'm sure you guys, you don't know Joey personally, but he is like a very hard worker. He rarely gets sick and he doesn't like to call off of work. I literally had to give him a stern talking to about how his coworkers aren't gonna think badly of him. Like if he calls out of work, they're gonna know it's something really serious. But basically Joey was eventually in so much pain that he couldn't stand upright. He, like when he first woke up in the morning, he could still kind of walk around, but at some point like he couldn't walk unassisted because it hurt so bad. At first we thought, you know, maybe he ate something bad. He said that he kind of woke up around 2 a.m. Thursday and had started feeling something in his stomach, but it progressively got worse and worse and worse. So like around 10:30, 11, I called out of work and took Joey to the emergency room. It wasn't that busy. Thankfully, it wasn't that busy. Luckily, we were seen relatively quickly, I would think, by hospital standards. And Joey had an appendicitis. So he needed to get surgery. We were, you know, in the emergency room. They took us back to a private room. They did blood work. They did a CAT scan. And then they were like, this is what it is. We gotta take care of this like right now. And meanwhile, Joey's feeling like worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually when they figured it out, they said, okay, we're gonna give you the surgery. We gotta take care of this. He was like, okay, give me the pain meds. He didn't wanna take medication until he knew what was wrong because he wanted to be able to tell the doctors and the nurses like exactly what he was feeling. So he had the surgery late on Thursday for the appendicitis, and they kept him at the hospital overnight, and the doctors were saying that it went pretty well. I mean, it's kind of like a routine thing. It's usually not that big a deal. As he was going into surgery, I went home to feed the cat, make myself some food. I literally had not eaten all day. I'm honestly thankful. I had so many protein supplements over the last week, like way more than I usually do. I'm thankful that I thought ahead to like throw a protein bar and a protein shake into my purse because it really saved my life. So I went home and fed the cat, got something to eat, and like literally in less than an hour, he was out of surgery. The doctor called me, gave me an update, said he was doing well, he was in recovery. So I did like a quick cleanup of the house, changed some of the sheets because I don't want somebody coming out of surgery and sleeping on dirty sheets. Changed some of the sheets, cleaned up the kitchen, and then I headed back over to the hospital to just like hang out with Joey while he's in recovery. They kept him overnight, and then he came home Saturday afternoon. No, he came home Friday afternoon. He got cleared by the doctors. Everything was good. He wasn't in a lot of pain just from having the surgery. And yeah, he just came home and chilled out and was like pretty okay for everything that happened, and was looking like he was recovering pretty well. Saturday is the day that I fell down the stairs. So Joey was kind of up and about as much as he could be, obviously not feeling great, but you know, he was on his feet. He was able to walk around a little bit pretty slowly. He was able to sit upright. He was eating a little bit, but not too much. And then, yeah, I was basically taking him I was taking him a cup of tea and like BCAAs in a shaker bottle. And my foot just like slipped on the carpeted stairs and it went everywhere. It was like a whole thing. But anyways, it's not what we're here to talk about. Sunday, I took Joey back to the hospital because this is where it starts to like get a little weird, because you all knew about the appendicitis already. But so Joey has an inguinal hernia. So that means there's like a hernia in his intestines. So there's like a little hole that like stuff is like squidging out of. So I had an umbilical hernia in my belly button, and that, I don't know if that's less bad, but the doctor told me that the stuff that was coming through the hole was just like belly fat. But I think when you have an inguinal hernia, I think it's literally your intestines starting to poke through your epidermis maybe. But Joey has an inguinal hernia, and he felt like whatever it is that pops out had popped out through the hole, but he couldn't get it back in. So he kind of noticed it Saturday, and it was like getting worse on Sunday. The stuff that had popped through, it seemed like it had grown and was also getting harder. And then he wasn't quite in pain from that yet, but he had a feeling that soon it would start to get painful. So we kind of like waited a little bit to see how it was progressing, but we ended up just going right back to the hospital pretty early in the morning, I think, which was honestly a good choice because it really wasn't that busy in the emergency room. Basically, I dropped him off and then I went back home to like try to get some more stuff done around the house. He was seen really quickly because it was not busy, and he just kept me up to date. And they honestly could not figure out for a while what was going on because of the hernia, but it actually turned out to be something else. So eventually, after CAT scans and what's that thing called that pregnant women get? Ultrasound. He got an ultrasound. He had multiple CAT scans. He had blood work multiple times. Eventually they figured out that he had an abscess. And this is where like trigger warnings, especially for people with male parts. The abscess had gone into Joey's scrotum. Like his scrotum was like expanding. It basically looked like he had 3 testicles. It was very concerning, obviously, very uncomfortable for Joey. And at that point, it was like starting to get really painful too. So since they weren't sure what was really going on, he was in the hospital under observation Sunday night into Monday, and Monday afternoon, Joey messaged me and he was like, I need you here now. So he was in a lot of pain. And I also just want to say that the hospital we went to, it's a local hospital. Everyone that we encountered, that we worked with, they were all amazing, excellent, so friendly, so nice, so attentive. But I mean, like, you can't just like have somebody with you 24/7. Like, they have to take care of other patients, and it's different having like a loved one there to like help you than it is to have like a nurse that is paid to help you. So Joey was like, I need you, come back to the hospital. I was like, okay, bet, I'm out here, I'm coming. I got to the hospital. He was in a lot of pain, and he was mostly feeling it like around his abdomen again. It turns out that he had a blockage, basically from the appendix surgery. It just like, it wasn't working so good. So he had a blockage, and part of it also was from not really being able to get up and move around much. So he had been in bed for like basically an entire day with very little walking around, just because he was so uncomfortable from like having surgery and his like abscess situation. So I helped him try to like walk around a little bit more, got him eating and drinking. He was allowed to eat and drink at that point, and they gave him pain medication. And eventually like the blockage situation kind of like cleared up on his own. He was in like pain and pretty uncomfortable for like the rest of that day, but still they weren't really sure what to do about the abscess. So on Tuesday, let me check, 4/8. On Tuesday, Joey had surgery number 2. 2 surgeries in less than a week. On Tuesday, Joey had surgery number 2, and that was to take care of the abscess. So basically, what they did was went into the scrotum and drained the abscess, and then also put in a drainage tube that Joey still has in now. He has in for 2 weeks to let the rest of the stuff drain out of the abscess. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm double checking. Not fun. Yeah, so that's what happened. Doctor called me, said that surgery went well. He had it like mid-morning. I think I was at home. I stayed pretty late at the hospital, like in the evenings, just to like hang out with Joey, but I didn't sleep over at the hospital. Not really necessary. Joey wasn't in like mortal danger or anything. Plus I gotta take care of Physique, and I was trying to like work here and there where I could. Like I've been saying, my coworkers have been like super supportive and helpful, but you know, I didn't necessarily need to be at the hospital like 24/7. So I was at home, heard about the surgery. Joey went in for surgery. Surgery went well. Doctor called me, told me everything that happened. They drained the abscess. The liquid was not pus-y or like super infected, which is good. And they sewed him up, shipped him out, put him in recovery, and I headed back to the hospital to stay with Joey. And yeah, he was there until, when did he come back? Thursday. He came back home on Thursday, but he was basically just in the hospital in recovery mode from Tuesday, Wednesday until he was discharged on Thursday. And yeah, he just like really wasn't having a good time. I think that the doctors and nurses felt bad for him having to have surgery on his scrotum, so they really like helped him out with the pain meds. No questions asked if he felt like he needed something, and let me tell you, Joey does not like taking medication if he can help it. So, you know, he was trying to like push through, but one of the nurses was like, hey, if you need something, tell me. It's easier to get ahead of the pain. Like if you feel it starting to come back, it's easier to get ahead of the pain than to catch up with it later if you're already in a ton of pain. And he took that to heart. So he kept up with that. And we did our best to try to like get up and walk around, and that really helped with the blockage in his intestines, I'm guessing. But yeah, that's basically what happened. He came back home on Thursday. He's been home since. Seems to be recovering well. Since then until now, he's able to get up on his own. He can get dressed on his own. He's not supposed to work out or lift anything heavy. And he's going back to see the surgeon in her office to get the drain removed 2 weeks after the surgery. Basically, he just has to like keep the wound packed so the drain can just like drain into some gauze. It's pretty messy, but I mean, it is what it is. It does seem like there's less fluid, which with each passing day, Joey's feeling better with each passing day. He's in less pain. He said that the appendix part of the surgery is healing really well. Only one of the incisions is more painful than the other. If he sneezes, it's really painful. If he has like a big cough, it's really painful. But he's able to eat and drink pretty normally. He can use the bathroom pretty normally. I'm doing my best to facilitate his recovery by like cooking for him in a specific way. But at the same time, you know, his parents dropped off some food, his friends dropped off some cookies. I had to like give Joey a little bit of a talking to. But I can tell you that when I had my umbilical hernia surgery, as soon as I was able to like get up and like start making stuff for myself, I was taking creatine again. I was taking BCAAs again. I was drinking protein shakes. And honestly, I think that probably helped a lot. I really was trying to eat for recovery, and Joey's no longer in a calorie deficit. He was in a fat loss phase with me, but obviously that's not conducive to recovery. So he's no longer in a calorie deficit. I'm trying to get him to eat protein. I'm trying to get him eating more nutritiously. But you know, he wants to be independent, and I'm just like, hey, let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. Let me get you something to eat. Let me get you something to drink. But it's like, it's been a little bit of a struggle to get him to like come over to the dark side of eating vegetables. Like, he'll eat vegetables if I cook them for him, but you know, he's just like, oh, my parents brought me food, let me eat that first. Or yeah, I'm really feeling like I want to have some chips right now, or I really want some cookies, or I really want some cereal. And I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to tell you no, but at the same time, he was also very anemic after 2 surgeries and having a lot of blood drawn. So trying to get him to eat red meat, spinach, stuff like that to get his iron up. But he did come home. He did come home with antibiotics and an iron supplement, I think. So that helped a lot. He was really, really, really tired and low energy the past few days, but he's starting to like get his energy back, be a little more chipper and stuff, and he's up and about. He's like doing his own thing. He needs to be a little bit careful, especially with like level changes. He almost fell on like, I think Friday or Saturday. He like bent down to like pick up his clothes, and he almost like fell over, and I had to catch him, and I was like, come on, bro, you can't be doing this. But anyways, he's on the mend now, and I think that's both the long and the short of it, because I kind of rambled there. But if you have any questions about like what happened, I can try to answer them, or I'll ask Joey. As far as we're concerned, this was not malpractice. It's kind of just like a freak sort of accident. It could have happened because of a birth defect where the scrotum wasn't completely sealed as Joey grew up. That's something we saw online. The liquid into the abscess, it could have come in through the hernia. It could have come from the appendicitis. Like it could have been any number of things, but we definitely don't feel like it was the fault of the medical practitioners at all. And we definitely are not going to be like pursuing them in any sort of way. We felt like they took really, really good care of him while he was at the hospital. And we overall had a very good experience, as good as can be expected. I think that my insurance is pretty okay, but we haven't gotten the medical bills back, but we are super duper not worried about it. I am simply thankful that Joey is on the mend, and it is looking like everything should be okay for him to go on vacation to Japan in May as well, which is something that we were worried about. We were worried that his dick wouldn't work. We were worried that he was going to lose a testicle. We were worried that he wouldn't be able to go to Japan. These were all things that we discussed after he got his second surgery. But so far, fingers crossed, everything's looking like it's on the up and up. And hopefully when he goes back to see the surgeon after 2 weeks, they can remove the drainage tube with no issues and should be good to go. Joey seriously was trying to do an arm workout. He was like, I think tomorrow I'm gonna do an arm workout, and I had to give him another stern talking to about it, and he's like, okay, maybe that's not a good idea. But anyways, like I said, any comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comments section. I will do my best to answer. Hey, this is Editing Hime jumping in for 1 minute to let you know, if you didn't know, that Joey has a weekly podcast with his friends, or I would say his friends have a weekly podcast that Joey participates in. And in the podcast, he talks more about his experience with the appendicitis and the abscess and surgery and all that stuff. So if you are interested in hearing about that from his point of view, probably more scientifically and in better detail, because I'm not a medical professional, but he is, I will link in the cards and in the description to the 2 episodes of the podcast where they talk a little bit about his surgery and recovery and all that stuff. I will say that the podcast is probably a little bit more on the adult side than my channel. Not that my videos are meant for children, because they're not, but I do try to keep it relatively family friendly just for monetization purposes. Most of what they talk about outside of special circumstances is nerd stuff. So a lot of talk about comics, Transformers, movies, shows, stuff like that. So, you might or might not be interested in the general subject matter, but yeah, if you're just curious, you want to hear more from Joey's perspective, I will link those podcast episodes for you to check out. Back to the outro. And again, thank you so much for all of your well wishes and your patience during this time. This is the first time Joey's ever had surgery. This is actually the first time Joey's ever had to go to the hospital for himself. So it was kind of a whole new experience for both of us. I think this is probably the first time I've ever had to take somebody to the hospital. Yeah, I think so. But like I said, we were so impressed by the staff at the hospital we went to. So we were, honestly, I wasn't really worried too much about, what would happen. I had a feeling that it would get sorted out eventually. So anyways, don't forget to be responsible for your own gains. Don't be a dick. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.